Around. There we go. Recording. Link.
And we are live.
Have you put the countdown in? Well organised as per usual. So we can share the group sound. You found him?
Yeah, my computer's been very slow.
Standard.
And we are live on a Tuesday for the first time ever.
We are indeed. How are you, Mr. Hope?
I am good.
It's been a strange old week of NFL results again, hasn't it?
Always is the way at the moment.
Yeah. There was trying to. Oh yeah. Yeah. There's been some weird ones. I mean, both number one seeds lost. Both number two seeds lost, I believe, from the top of my head. Can't remember off the top of my head. But what are you not doing as you're told? It's
But yeah, I mean, there's been some news today too, hasn't there?
no, yeah. There's been some news. Shall we start with the news before we get to last week's results?
Yes, why not?
Which one should we start with? Let's start with that one.
Yes, this is a weird one.
Yeah, because he announced it himself in his
I'm,
press conference.
I'm just like, why would you be like, I'm leaving, but not
After this,
yet?
yeah, I'm leaving Thursday. It's fine. It's a strange one. I mean, how do you feel about the Clayers fans, Bears fans? Do you think it's a good result? Do you think
Well,
it's good for you, or what? I mean, because I think it's really, really weird that it's happened now.
I'm in a group chat with a Bears fan,
Are you?
and he's ecstatic.
I'm a bit more. I mean, obviously, from a Patriots side of things, completely different conference and all that as well. I'm
I mean,
not sure what about it. I mean, they've got their franchise quarterback there. They've got some really good DBs in there. They've got a couple of good um, all round players in there as well, and it just seems a bit strange. I mean, they're there and thereabouts. They're not
I could see him
from
and
it, are they?
Zimmer just swapping jobs.
Absolutely. Would you reckon that Tom would like that? Imagine them just switching jobs. That would be
I
really
mean,
strange.
I really hope that doesn't happen because Minnesota have a really exciting offense, and I feel like Nagy would just turn them into what the Bears are at the moment, which is really boring. Which is why in some ways, I'm quite happy I'm in the air during the first game of Thanksgiving because it's going to be an absolute snorefest.
Yeah, but we've said
But
this before. We've said this how many times when teams come to London? Oh, we've got two poor games coming out. We've got poor teams coming over, and they've actually been really good games.
I'm sorry, but the Lions versus the Bears matters to nobody apart from Lions and Bears fans. It has no playoff connotations, and it's going to be the teams that finish second, bottom, and bottom of the NFC East
Do you
or
want to say
North.
what? Do you want to say what you said earlier?
No, not really.
What was it about Bears and Thanksgiving games?
No, I didn't say anything about the Bears and Thanksgiving. I said that the Lions shouldn't have a
Sorry,
Thanksgiving
Lions and
game
Thanksgiving. Yeah.
because they're rubbish. They're literally 0-7-1. If they're going prime time on Thanksgiving, it should be a game that people actually want to watch.
So what time's it over there? So it's the normal 1 o'clock kickoff over there, is it? It's a
Yeah,
lunchtime game over
1 o'clock on Thanksgiving should be a game that people actually want to watch.
there. It's traditions, isn't it? And there's not many places in this world that have traditions anymore.
Yes.
But yeah, I get that. I mean, they're 0-9-1. you would have thought, right, let's change things up. Let's put Bills Saints first because that
No,
would be a hell of a game.
yeah, I'm just saying let's not have the Lions at all. Put the Patriots Titans or a game that's actually or Packers Rams. Just put a game that's worth watching there. Not Bears versus. It's like the other game that's pointless this weekend. Texans versus Jets. Nobody's going to watch that.
Oh, thank God you're in America, mate, because I think you might be. No, actually, you're probably going to get even lynched worse over there in America.
Oh no, it's fine. I'm the other coach from Detroit.
Nah, okay. The other bit of news that's come in the last hour or so, really, and it's that one.
Yes, I read something earlier that the players were annoyed about Garrett's calls, and as soon as I saw that, I was like, yeah, he's going to be fired.
Yeah, so it's New York Giants finest offensive coordinator Jason Garrett. So he's been there 18 months now. So yeah, Garrett was hired by Joe Judge ahead of the 2020 season after a 9-year run as Dallas's head coach. I think they've had a lot of issues down there. It's not all Garrett's fault. I think losing Barkley, Evans, no, Emmett.
Gerald Everett, isn't it?
Yeah, Everett, and all the other like explosive talent they've got on the offensive line, on the offensive side of the ball, is always going to hurt everyone. You know, we've all had teams had major issues through injury and all that. But when you have your star running back out, you have your two best wide receivers out, and your tight end Alvin Ingram, that's who I was thinking of, out, you're
Yeah,
gonna
I
struggle.
was thinking I don't think Everett plays for the Giants.
Yeah, it's Ingram I was thinking of.
And I just think that's highlighted even more and put under even more of a microscope with it being New York.
Very much so. New York, you've got a feel for New York at the moment.
The New York media are pretty relentless.
Yeah, so we'll come to this more in a minute, but you know, Monday night's game against Tampa, they went for 215 yards in total. Only had 1 in 9 conversion rate on third down.
Yeah, well, I mean, Tampa are good. I mean, I've got some stuff to talk about later about teams that somehow managed to seal a win, and I think there's a couple of teams that won, but if they played any other team in the league, they'd have lost. But I'll get to those games.
Would
But
one be the Dog Pound, by any chance?
the dog pound would have been one of them, yes.
Yeah, they were shocked. They've been shocking the last few weeks.
Another one was a team in purple that wasn't the Vikings.
Yeah. This come a bit left field.
Yeah, I thought Lindsay was doing okay down there.
I thought he was as well. I mean,
especially with them losing Mark Ingram to the Saints.
Burkhead took majority of the snaps. Whenever I saw on Red Zone on Sunday night, Burkhead was the ball carrier.
Actually, that's another one. The Texans would have lost to anyone bar the Titans, it seems like, considering they got outgained like 490 to 190 or something.
Titans have lost 2 games this year. Jets and 3 games? Can't remember, but the Jets and Texans they've lost to.
I mean, I'm not sure if you saw any of that game, but
only what was ever shown on Red Zone.
5 interceptions thrown by Ryan Tannehill.
Yeah, he was. The offense wasn't firing, was it?
No, AJ, no Derrick Henry, no Julio Jones, and AJ Brown got injured.
Yeah, we'll cover that in a bit. I mean, Lindsay will get picked up elsewhere, won't he? Running back. He is a very good running back, very good at Pittsburgh. And it was a really strange move to go down there. It was really strange by Pittsburgh to let him go, really. I thought he would have been
Was it Denver?
You're right, it was Denver, wasn't it? That makes it even worse for me of a stranger decision.
Well, I mean, they have Melvin Ingram and they have Javonte Williams now.
Javonte Williams, 6th-round pick. I would have still kept Lindsay as there, who's got proven category. You didn't know that Javonte Williams was going to come out breakout star this year.
True, but he has. So
yeah.
I wouldn't surprise me if actually Philip Lindsay went to Titans for the rest of the season.
That could be a good one. On to this week's games.
Yes, and it's been a weird one.
It has been a weird one. As I'll just change it there. There we go. So,
Ollie, you can take New England shutting out Atlanta.
that was glorious to watch. It wasn't pretty football. It wasn't exciting football. It was typical Thursday night football. I can get rid of that bit now, can't I? It was typical Patriots style of football. 4 takeaways, 3 quarterbacks with 3 different interceptions for the first time since I had a stat somewhere. I think I shared it on our group chat, didn't I?
Yes.
I'm just going to get this one up because I can't remember it off the top of my head. There it is. No, just got to wait for the thing to go. So it was. Well, that's that one about your Eagles t-shirts. The long cocks hard or something like that.
Oh,
Was
yeah.
it? Yeah.
That was funny.
Can't find it now. Had a moment, but it's the first time that's an interception in like 30 or 40 odd years with 3 different quarterbacks. Yeah, Matt Ryan looked all sorts. I think they lost Cordell Patterson. Not having Cordell Patterson was massive to Atlanta.
Yes.
Only one bad error from Mac Jones was his pick when he overthrew it.
Yes.
Nothing more to say that really. I mean, Patriots are on a roll. I mean, that's 5 and a bounce for them now, and they've moved up to number 3. And when Mac Jones, just in time for when Mac Jones' jersey turned up as well. I'm looking forward. I mean, out of the next 4 games we've got, so we've got Tennessee Sunday, then we've got Buffalo away, then we've got a bye, then we've got Indy, and then we've got Buffalo again.
Those 2 games against Buffalo are massive.
I'm more worried about Indianapolis than the other teams. Not only because of what Jonathan Taylor did this weekend, but they're on a roll now. They're 5 on the bounce, or 5 out of the last 4, or 4 out of the last 5 even.
Yeah, but I think Buffalo for the division is bigger. Because obviously you guys are both level on games, I think, now.
No, we're ahead by half a game now.
Yeah, but if Buffalo beat you, then they're ahead by half a game.
Yeah, it is very, very close. I mean, but we'll see. On to Philadelphia. On to Philadelphia.
Yes, Jalen Hurts had a bit of a game, didn't he?
Yeah, I was about to say, I think that was his breakout. It's his breakout game now.
I mean, what was it? He became the first
go
QB in Eagles history with 3 rush TDs in a game. And the Eagles had 3 players with over 40 rushing yards: Miles Sanders, Jalen Hurts, and Howard. And that's for the 4th straight game, apparently.
That is, Jalen Hurts had 69 rushing yards and 3 touchdowns. He is a young Lamar Jackson, I think. I think he's a very good running QB now.
Yes,
and he showed it. And he showed glimpses against you boys about 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, I was really impressed with Hurts when he played us week 2.
But the Saints,
he kept them in the game.
Yeah, he was brilliant against the Saints. Absolutely brilliant. I mean, Trevor Siemian didn't have a bad game. He had 2 picks. One of them was off the hands of the wide receiver.
I'm going to stand by the fact that I can't trust an offense with Trevor Siemian at QB.
True. It's... I don't know. It's very difficult. I mean, he threw for 214 yards. He had 3 touchdowns. And he rushed for a touchdown with 16 yards on total.
And we'll just put what Jack's come on about, saying that he whiffed on my team picks a bit, but got the Eagles right. And Jack, I think you'll find you whiffed just as much as anyone else. Everyone got 1.
Yeah, that was a bit of a bad week. Yeah, I think Saints are slowly just like falling down the order now, aren't they? I mean,
Yeah, I think
they're
they will.
now
They will.
6th or 7th.
They're sev. Yeah, they're seventh at the
No.
moment.
Yeah, they are. Miami 3 on the bounce now.
Yes.
3 on the bounce. 24-17 win against New York. New York can't seem to buy a win. This is one of the games that they could have had a win against. Tua
Oh,
was 27 from 30. No, yeah, 27 from 33, 273 yards, 2 TDs. Even with Joe Flacco, who didn't turn the ball over once, they still struggled. He went 291 yards, 2 touchdowns. Mike Carter, 63 yards. Elijah Moore's touchdown. Wow, that was brilliant. I wish I could get the video up on them, but unfortunately I seem to struggle on this computer. To upload videos. Crowder had a 1 as well. It shows, I think, if they can get a decent O-line in New York, they'd be okay. I think. It just shows something. Tua's starting to look a bit better.
Tua looked okay.
Tua looked a lot better than he did in Miami. In Tottenham.
To me, Tua looked like he could be what they want him to be.
Yeah, there's still
a long way to go for that, but
yeah, I mean, he went 273 yards for 2 touchdowns.
yes,
He went all right. He did
I'm
all
gonna
right.
release. I'm gonna release my Trey Lance shirt
Oh, here we go.
to the world again.
He does wear other shirts, I promise, ladies and gentlemen. Miles Gaskin had a good game, and so did Zeki. He had good games as well. There were some good catches in there.
Kazeki always has a good game though.
But he only had 50 yards.
Apart from last week where he got 0 fantasy points.
Yeah, I saw someone who I follow on TikTok. He was a bit a bit critical towards him on that one, which was quite funny.
Hold on, I've just got an up. Hold on, there's just been some breaking news.
Has there?
Yes.
You heard something, have you?
Matt Nagy denies rumor Lions game will be his last as Bears head coach.
Oh, really?
That is not accurate, is the quote.
So who's leaked that then? That said he is going.
Shout out to the person who just sent me that article.
Who was that one? Who sent you that one?
Oh, my sources have to remain nameless.
Okay. Yeah, Washington, Carolina. Cam didn't return.
Washington ruined the Panthers' Cam's homecoming.
It looked so good for them in that first drive, didn't it?
Yeah, in the first drive. Then it fell apart, but
yeah. Yeah, unfortunately, I've got one of those stupid banners that have just gone around my thing, so I can't get any stats up, which is really annoying. I liked what I saw.
Luckily, I can get the stats up.
Yeah, Heineke's looking better now. Heineke looked really good again.
Heineke's just getting better and better, really.
Have you seen that handstand, or not even a headstand, by bloody C-Mac?
Yes.
Where he kept the ball literally off the ground with his head.
If you just look at the stats, Heineke went 60 for 22 with 206 yards, but 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, didn't he rush one as well? No, he didn't rush one. He rushed 29 yards.
And Antonio Gibson is starting to look like he's not injured anymore.
Yeah, it's typical. I leave him on bench again, don't I? Leave him my fantasy bench and McCall and yeah, they both would have scored well over 20 points for me, and it's just typical, isn't
it? And Cam Newton went 21 for 27, 189 yards, throwing for 2 touchdowns, rushing for 1. And I thought Christian McCaffrey had more than 10 carries, but he had 10 carries for 59 yards. Cam Newton, 10 carries for 46 yards.
He did McCaffrey did have 7 receptions for 60 yards and with a TD.
I mean, the hype train for Cam has stopped a bit, hasn't it?
Yeah, we're not going to say it got derailed. It certainly hit a bump in the road. Yeah,
I
I don't
mean,
know what to make. I mean,
in terms of playoffs, I feel like the top 5 is sort of set. And then it's between the Niners, the Vikings, the Saints, Panthers, and maybe Washington for 6 and 7.
it's the same on both, really. I think it's tight on both. We look on to the next game, who I'm trying to load as we speak because I can't remember which
It's
one was it.
Indianapolis at Buffalo.
Oh, yes. The Jonathan Taylor Show.
The Jonathan Taylor Show.
5th player in Super Bowl era, 200 scrimmage yards and 5 touchdowns in a game. That's an impressive stat. I like
And the
that.
Titans are the only team to score more points versus the Bills. And in second, it's Jonathan Taylor.
Oh, man alive.
32 carries, 185 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 3 receptions, 19 yards, 1 touchdown. And also my player of the week.
I'm still out on Jones.
I mean, Carson Wentz, 11 for 20, 106 yards, only throwing for 1 touchdown. He did what he needed to do.
They are finding a way to win now, Indianapolis. They're 4 out of the last 5. I think it is off the top of my head.
And
like I
Jack,
said,
we will get to that question when we get to the Tampa Bay game later.
Yes.
So we will answer that question,
Yep.
but just not yet.
Indianapolis is starting to worry me.
They're-
Because they are lying currently 9th in the AFC.
Here's the
They're
thing,
on a
though.
roll.
I don't think they'll win their division.
No, I
Well,
don't think they'll win.
there are 6 games. There are 6 games left. Yeah, and the Titans are 3 ahead.
Titans' next games are
Patriots,
New England, by Jacksonville, Steelers, yeah, you boys, Dolphins, and Texans. So there is 3 defeats in there.
but there's also
Steelers and New England.
But there's also 3 wins in there, which is all they need. Because they swept the Colts, so they have their dead.
Oh yeah, of course they did beat the Colts earlier in the season. I completely forgot about that one.
They didn't just beat the Colts; they swept the Colts.
Yeah, it's again very much the Jekyll and Hyde of Buffalo, wasn't it?
Yes.
It was bad. Josh Allen was horrific. Was it 4 or 5 turnovers he had?
Something like that.
He had in total, if I get this to work. No, not that page. 2 turnovers. So only threw for 209 yards from 35 attempts, 21 completions. Mitch Trubisky had 19 yards and 1 turnover. That's something. Obviously, you're going to bring, if you're getting absolutely trounced like they are, rest your star players. I mean, even Zach Moss looked a bit out of sorts as well. And you were saying the other week he is one of your star players of the season, weren't you?
He's not a star player of the season. He's just somebody I didn't expect to be doing as well as you do. And I'm just going to change this mistake you've made on the banners.
Oh, I was just about to try and do that myself.
Because Detroit did definitely not score 20 points against Cleveland.
Hey, gotta love a fat finger. As we talk to Detroit, yeah, they definitely scored 10 points against Cleveland. That was a boring game. Cleveland made that so much harder than they needed to. And it wasn't a pleasant game to look. I don't know there's not much else to say. I mean, Cleveland won that game in the second quarter when they scored 13 points. There was a pick after a pick, from what I saw, through red zone. I don't know. I mean, Tim Boyle, he looked okay for his first outing, apart from the 2 picks. DeAndre Swift, 136 yards for a touchdown as well, from 14 carries. He is their saving grace this season, isn't he? He's been absolutely superb.
Yes, he has.
There's not really much more to say about the game, is there? I can't really say anything else about that game because Cleveland are imploding at the moment, along a few other players as well. That seems to be a case. On to your game.
Ah, yes.
You've been
Okay.
waiting for this.
I have. I was very impressed by the 49ers. I mean, I know it's Jacksonville, but it was a professional game.
It
We
was
went in there,
done what you needed to do, didn't you?
did what we had to do. Jimmy Garoppolo looked very good, 16 for 22, 176 yards. I mean, there were a couple of misses that were frustrating.
I think Deebo Samuel's fast becoming your star player.
Yeah, I
Your
mean,
star player.
Deebo Samuel, 8 carries, 79 yards, 1 touchdown, but only 1 reception, 15 yards. But
Yeah,
I
he's a
mean,
wide receiver.
yes.
20-yard try.
Oh, is that yours?
Is money.
And
Playing some
Jeff,
volume there, Ollie.
yeah, I wasn't sure if that was coming through or not.
Yeah.
Jeff Wilson looked okay. With Elijah Mitchell injured, 19 carries for 50 yards. Trey Sermon, 10 for 32. And Trey Lance, despite only taking about 5 snaps, three carries for 4 yards.
So pretty much went backwards.
Yeah. Brandon Ayuk was actually used with 7 receptions on 7 targets for 85 yards.
Didn't he had one first down and then he got absolutely smashed and then dropped the ball, didn't he?
Yes, but
Yeah, I did see that one. That was a great hit.
no, he kept hold of the ball because he got 7 receptions for 7 targets.
Which one do I think of? Or did I get confused with last week's game? Probably.
I think Kittle 4 receptions, 34 yards, 1 touchdown. What's quite interesting is Kittle scored 3 touchdowns this year,
Yeah.
and he's only had 3 targets in the red zone.
3 games in 3 games in three touchdowns in 3 games.
Yeah, 3 touchdowns in 3 games in the last 3 weeks because he'd not scored a touchdown in over a year before that.
James Robinson only had 29 yards but scored a touchdown.
Yes, James Robinson was stuffed by the Niners.
I mean, you said pre-chat your run defense is pretty good, so you're not worried about facing Dalvin Cook next week.
I'm just worried about Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen.
Yeah, but then you got Coughlin as well, the tight end. He is a good tight end.
He's not a tight end though; he's a wide receiver.
They play him as a tight end, don't they? I'm sure
They
he's
do have.
You like you're playing your stuff.
They do have a tight end. They have Irv Smith Jr., but
yeah.
Conklin seems to be their third wide receiver. Manchester United have just scored.
Yeah, Ronaldo. Shock number 2 of the week. Tennessee.
Houston, embarrassing Tennessee, really.
So what was it? Tennessee was on an 8-game win streak. No, 6-game win streak.
It was the longest. It was the longest win. It was the longest win streak. The longest loss streak, active win streak, and the longest active loss streak were both broken.
Tannehill, you said he had 5 picks.
I think it was 4 or 5.
I've got that stupid barrier up again that keeps going around my bloody screen. There goes that one, and there we go that one. The wonderful and modern technology. Yeah, it's 4 picks, 52 attempts for 32 completion, 323 yards, 1 touchdown, 4 interceptions.
The Titans' defense just seemed to give him the ball to Shanahan, saying, "Go on, win us the game," and he just throw it back to Houston every time.
Yeah, that is
because it was 4
complacency,
picks.
Maybe
it was 4 picks and also two bonehead 4th down plays deep in Houston territory.
Yeah,
so that's almost like 6 really.
It showed. Okay, like we said, these lost. Obviously, we've got no Derrick Henry until possibly week 14, week 15, maybe even week 16, depends on how quickly it heals. Julio Jones is still on IR. so he's going to be on
Yeah.
there for another couple of weeks.
The thing is, I think Houston would have lost to any other team apart from maybe Detroit.
Possibly
week.
even Cleveland as well. I think they would turn Cleveland over.
But somehow, one of the best teams with the longest active win streak in the NFL blew it. And I just can't
Did
get...
you notice something? Every team that we gave an A star to, apart from Arizona, lost.
Who else did we give an A star to?
Green Bay.
Yeah.
Whoops. Oh, and Dallas as well.
Commentator's curse.
Yeah, we can't call ourselves pundits. Tom can, but we can't.
Pundits and commentators used it very loosely.
Very, very usefully. Should we talk about Green Bay?
This was an interesting game, wasn't it?
This was a brilliant game. Whenever I saw it, I mean, when Scott Hanson's enjoying it because his voice gets a little bit higher pitched.
Huh? I mean, there was the Vikings touchdown, then there was the massive MVS touchdown, and then at the end, Greg Joseph down the middle.
Crosby, though, missed 2.
And makes me worried for next week.
Mason Crosby missed 2. And they would have won that game with them. Mason Crosby went on 27 field goals without missing. I think it's 4 or 5 out of the last 7. I think he's missed now.
Do you think it's time for them to change kickers at Green Bay?
Well, you've painted for Lambo at Lambo.
Yes, hashtag Lambo at Lambo. Get Lambo to Lambo. Just so we can say Lambo makes it a Lambo.
So Zimmer said he wants Cousins to be more aggressive in the play.
Yeah, but didn't Cousins say that he thought he was being too aggressive?
Yeah, there's being aggressive and then there's being, irresponsible and not looking after the football. And it said something, though, that Zimmer's play calling is probably not where it should be. I mean, Tom's said this a couple of weeks on the road now that when he's been on the show.
Do we still have that banner?
What, Zimmer out? Yeah, it's down the bottom, I think. But Aaron Rodgers, 23 from 33 attempts, 385 yards, 4 touchdowns. Just to please Tom.
Tom, if you're watching, that one's for you. Well, you're not watching because
he's getting his head punched.
Otherwise, you'd be with us. But that one's for Tom.
Kirk Cousins was only like 40 yards behind Aaron Rodgers. He went for 341 yards with 3 touchdowns. Jefferson.
And as John Lewis is just saying, Dalvin Cook and Jefferson both had good games. Yes, Justin Jefferson is actually Tom's player of the week.
Yeah, we'll cover that in a minute. Dalvin Cook did have a good game, to be fair. Yes. He had over 100 scrimmage yards again, 86 on the ground, 1 TD. But, yeah. They're starting, if they could find a formula, they've made the playoff. They're in the playoff places at the moment. Who knows? I
don't know. If the Niners beat them, then we'll jump above them.
Very true.
Like I said, the last 2 places for the NFC and the AFC, really, but referring to the NFC here, it's very close.
Matt Nagy's penultimate game, or depends who you believe.
Will Birchmore's just come up saying he made a big mistake dropping Cousins in fantasy.
To be fair, I don't think many people would have chosen Kirk Cousins in a fantasy this week against that very good Green Bay defense without 2 of their key players. Alexander, they're probably their number 1 DB.
Yes.
For Tua. So he dropped him for Tua, Will said.
For Tua.
For that, originally. So I don't know who that is. He must have been a hell of a player. Baltimore, they were another team that struggled again this week as well. Really did struggle, didn't they? 16-13 win over a poor Chicago. At one point, it looked like New England were going to go number 2 seeds. And the AFC are now quaking in their boots because New England are back.
Yes, people are actually starting to take the Patriots seriously, aren't they?
I mean, we're doing it with a rookie QB, which makes it more serious. But I'll talk about Baltimore, who looked all off sorts, especially Lamar again.
Well, Lamar wasn't playing. That's why they looked out of sorts.
That's why he didn't. That's why he looked out of sorts. Oh, what's the lad's name? He's
Tyler Huntley.
Yeah, I forgot he wasn't. Lamar was.
That's why they looked out of sorts, because they didn't have Lamar, in my opinion. But I mean, that Tyler Huntley throw to Sammy Watkins at the end to set up the game-winning touchdown was good.
He looked all right. Now I remember. Now I'm watching. Now the stats are coming up. He made some good throws.
Yeah, Tyler Huntley's not a bad quarterback. He's a good backup.
Well, I've just seen that catch from Andrews. Wow,
Oh, Mark Andrews had a
that
great
one
game.
that was like out there on the full stretch. That was a great catch.
Well, Mark Andrews stuff, because he had a great game.
He did have a great game. So Mark Andrews' stats was, so Tyler Huntley had 219 throwing yards and 1 interception. He rushed for 40. Mark Andrews had 10 targets, 8 receptions, 73 yards. Sammy Watkins only had 48 reception yards.
Mark Andrews was sort of that safety blanket for Huntley, from what I saw.
Which is what Tannehill's missing with, Titans in general missed with Derrick Henry, because I think if Derrick Henry would have steamrolled them.
Yes, and Green Bay missed Aaron Jones, just going back to that game.
He did play. I picked up some fancy points for him.
No, he didn't play. Check the stats. Jones didn't play. He was injured.
Okay, I can't bother to look at my phone. I thought I picked some stats for him. I look at the wrong week, which is highly likely, knowing me.
I mean, I will just check that, so there might be some noise coming through, but I'm pretty sure he didn't play.
Las Vegas are
falling apart
on and off the field, aren't they, this season? Now,
I mean, I think it's off. Yes, there were. I am correct. He didn't play.
Would John like to admit this? Are they actually happy? Are you happy when you have 2 quiet weeks?
Well, do you want to read what John's talking about?
Yep.
But yes, I think the Raiders' off-the-field issues are still affecting their on-the-field performance.
But they celebrate when they have a quiet week with no issues off court. Yeah, as John's just said, also in the NFL show, Patriots defense looks solid and O-line is strong. Plenty of receivers Mac throw to. Mac number 1 target is at the moment is Hunter Henry, and that you seem to throw anything that bloke is like shit to a blanket. It just sticks to him. He's a big target to hit to as well. You know, he's 6'4", 250 odd pounds or something like that. I think he is off the top of my head.
But back to the Raiders.
Otherwise,
you won't shut up about the Patriots all night.
I will. It started off well for them. They had a pick 6 to start off well.
Yes, and then Jamal Burrows.
Yeah, let's call it that one.
Joe Burrows, Jamar Chase, and Joe Mixon started playing.
Yeah. Mixon stretched full out for that touchdown of his, didn't he?
He did, yes.
That was a great bit of play. He was at full stretch for that one. I don't know about Las Vegas. What was that?
That was me. That was being a full stretch.
Okay.
As John just said, Raiders falling off the field issues, playing apart. Carr looks lost in the offense. I think one of the issues is he's lost Ruggs, who was the big deep threat that was getting.
Yeah. Hunter Renfro isn't the same as he has Ruggs.
And Ruggs was getting a cornerback and usually a safety on him, leaving other players.
Always happens after the bye week.
If you say so, John.
215 yards Carr went for. 1 TD, 1 interception. Yeah, I mean, Ruggs took it and Hunter Renfro would always have, from what I've seen of them, they always have this shallow crossing routes and they always made a lot of yards after catching. But if you've got your deep threat is no longer having 2 players on him, your shallow man's going to have that, almost like that spy. He's going to follow him across the line and it's always going to be, it's going to be difficult. I think Las Vegas want to get to John, your bye week was 3 weeks ago. Just looking at your schedule.
Yeah, but they've lost their last. They have lost their last 2 games.
That's very true. That's very true. Are you hoping for your bye week in like week 14 next year, so you can go the rest of the season, the whole season?
But they've. I mean, since then, Gruden and Ruggs.
Yeah. So Ruggs is still under house arrest, from what I read the other day.
Yes,
Which
but
is no surprise, to be fair.
some people think maybe he should be in jail already.
He should be. I know
And then
everything's off. We fall away, sadly. Arizona didn't quite look like a normal Arizona. I thought that Seattle was going to do something.
Again, with Colt McCoy at quarterback, they're not going to look like that. Without Kyler and without DeAndre Hopkins, they're not going to look like normal Arizona.
Well, he still went 328 yards, 2 touchdowns. He still rushed for 18 yards.
Colt McCoy had a great game. I'm just saying that without DeAndre Hopkins and Kyler Murray, they're not going to be their 400 yards a game offense.
He gives them that extra spark, doesn't he?
Yes.
That extra spark, that little X factor. So they're on bye this week. So that gives them an extra week. So they've missed San Fran.
They've missed 3 games and Colt McCoy's won 2 of them.
That's not bad. That's good. I mean, it shows.
And both of those games are against divisional rivals.
Yes.
I mean, what more can you ask from a backup quarterback to go and beat your 2 divisional rivals?
Yeah, obviously, divisional games are your bread and butter. You want to win your division because that's very good. Right?
And especially in the NFC West, which is the toughest division of all. In my opinion.
It should be, shouldn't it? Especially you got Rams in there, but Seahawks. What did Pete Carroll say earlier? You told me this earlier. Pete Carroll, what did he say?
He said he didn't know how to lose and he didn't know how to coach when they're getting their ass kicked every week. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen the 12 boo as much as they did after the Arizona game.
They were quiet as well during the game, and that's unlike the 12. The 12 are normally really, really loud.
And then booing their team off the field. I don't think I've ever seen the 12 do that before.
I've never seen that. I've never heard an NFL team do it before. Never, ever heard of them do that before, which is really, really unusual. What was meant to be the high-scoring, all offense, 500, 600, 800 yards game was very much a damp fish on the Star side.
Chris Jones, though. Chris Jones.
He's up. Well, I heard he had 3.5 sacks.
3.5 sacks, 1 forced fumble, and recovered another fumble.
He had a brilliant game.
He was almost my player of the week.
Kansas, I think, are now found that formula to win again. They are definitely back.
KC are back. I believe they have a bye. I believe they have a bye next week, don't they?
KC.
Yes.
Their bye is
this week, isn't it?
This week, yes, they are bye this week, which is good. So it gets them. I mean, Parsons. I'm going to say though, Micah Parsons, what a player!
Yes,
he is
DOY, potentially even a DPOY candidate.
He was up, down, left, right. He was all over the pitch. I mean, the sack that he did on Mahomes. Mahomes didn't even see him coming. He was so quick to the ball.
Yes.
So,
but
down he went.
Kansas have got Clyde Edwards-Helaire back.
Yep.
Have you seen that touchdown where Mahomes was going to run himself and then thought, "Oh look, player, I'll just flick it to."
Do you mean the taunting call?
Yes.
That got yeah. And then did you see the Kansas sideline afterwards, all laughing and joking? It's like, you've just been penalised 15 yards. Okay, Harrison Butker still made a 48-yard point
after missing the first point after from 30.
Yeah. It just shows, that wind was struggling because was difficult. That looked a nasty ankle roll from Zeke as well, didn't it? When the player
It did,
fell on his
yes.
ankle, but he still came back. He wasn't his explosive self. Dallas have now gone. Now lost. They lost CD Lamb to concussion.
Yes. I mean, and Cooper's got COVID, unvaccinated, so also not going to play this week.
Yeah, that's massive for them. I still fancy them to beat the Raiders. Sorry, John.
Well, I mean, the Raiders the Raiders are falling apart, so
Yeah.
sorry, John. So, shall we move on to the actual high-scoring game on Sunday night?
Yeah, I've seen all the. I haven't watched the game yet. I've read a lot of the thread that goes on the Facebook groups. Makes me laugh. It really does. Freddie gets so hyped up. It's brilliant. I mean, you're in a group chatting with about something, aren't you?
Yes.
I haven't seen much of this game. Have you seen any of this game yet?
Yes, I watched a game in 40 last night.
Do you want to go through the game with us, Mr. Hope?
Well, I mean, first off, what a performance by a certain Mr. Eckler.
4 TDs, yep. Superb that was. He's in one of my fantasy teams.
Big Ben looked like Big Ben.
Really?
For the first time this season.
Wow. You mean he threw it over 10 yards?
Yes.
And didn't look knackered afterwards?
Yes. And also, Herbert getting out of trouble. I've not watched Herbert much in the past 2 seasons, I will admit that.
I think I've seen that. He was literally
But
like a magician. They said something like he was a magician, didn't they?
Yeah, it was like he was Harry Houdini. It's like they were tackling shadows, the Steelers D line. He was just going left, right, and center, getting out of trouble all the time, which makes me worries about the Chargers O line. But yeah, it was a really good game. Both offenses looked good. Claypool had a great game.
Najee Harris had a good game. He
Yes.
39 yards, 1 touchdown on the ground and 20 in the air.
As Will's just coming up saying, best second half offensive to play for 2 seasons. And I believe Will's a Steelers fan, so yes, I would say that.
He's biased. He's blooming Steeler fans.
Yeah, I think he's saying it's the Steelers' best second half offensive display for 2 seasons.
Just unfortunately, it wasn't enough to get the win.
Yeah, just unfortunately, it was all in vain.
But it still keeps you ahead of Cleveland on percentage. Despite Cleveland winning more games, which is annoying a lot of people.
But yes, it was a great offensive game, and if anybody's not watched a game in 40, I would recommend it.
And now United are finished, I might go and watch it in a bit. I was going to watch Tampa, but yeah, from what I've seen, New York look a mess.
And we'll go back to this comment by Jack.
Oh, what? I'm trying to scroll up now as well to get it. See, there's a race to get on. There it is.
So, does Garrett change anything for New York? And I think the answer to that is it depends who replaces him.
It also depends how quick they can get players back.
Well,
they've had Barkley out for most of the season.
Barkley was back this week, though.
Barkley, yeah, but it's the same thing when C-Mac first came back against us in week 9. There's always that game rust. You need a couple of games to get going. It doesn't matter what sport you play. If it's tennis, football, golf, cricket, American football, you always have that first game rust.
Just going back to the Packers game, Will.
Yeah, what happened to TJ Watt?
He's injured.
There you go.
And yes, John, you're right. Daniel Jones did not look good. And I will find out that sack number for you now while Ollie talks.
Dan Jones hasn't been right since he was wiped out in week... I think it was week 4, maybe...
Dan Jones hasn't been right since he tripped on national TV when he had a touchdown.
What, on the 5-yard line or something, whatever it was. No, there was one game where literally Dan Jones ran for the touchdown and got wiped out, and he looked in a different world, let alone a different planet or different universe. Sorry, let alone a different planet. He hasn't been right since. Concussion does a really weird thing to your brain. It scrambles your brain. I think because he came back the following week, didn't he? Somehow.
I believe Dan Jones was only sacked 3 times, but I'm with John watching it live. It looked a lot more than that.
I haven't seen the game.
Let me just check
I've
that
only seen like the 5-minute
again.
highlights that I have. I'm just looking at the team stats as we speak. Hey, live broadcasting as we speak.
Anyway, yeah. So Daniel Jones
Sacks allowed 2 sacks. He got sacked twice.
Yes, Dan Jones hasn't been right for a while. And Tom Brady, it was similar to the Niners. Tom Brady was.
Did what he needed to do.
I agree with this, but the stats don't seem to be showing this.
It depends if it was behind the line of scrummage or not. Because if it was behind the line of scrummage, it is classed as a sack. But if it was ahead of the line of scrummage, because Dan Jones is a running quarterback now, he does run very well. Apart from when he's in open
sometimes,
air.
Yes.
Apart from when the turfs trip him up.
It takes skill to trip over straight ground.
It does a bit. I was going to say something now. Yeah, Tom Brady rushing, and then in the end of the second quarter, and like literally rushing like he just won the Super Bowl, celebrated like he won the Super Bowl.
Have you seen that slide where he goes in 2-footed, and the first thing the commentator says is that'll be a straight red in the Premier League.
Yeah, he had his studs up and everything, didn't he? It was like that. Yeah, that's a straight red.
2-footed studs up off the air, out of control.
There'll be Roy Keane would have been proud of that one back in the days. Playoff predictions. It is. You beat me to it. It is getting very interesting in the AFC.
I've had to change your NFC ones because they were wrong.
Yeah, you put in the 8, haven't you? Yeah, I missed the 8 out. Never mind. This week is a massive game. I mean, Baltimore have got Browns. Patriots have got Titans. Chiefs have got
Bye. They're on bye.
Bills need a massive result this week. I mean, they need to beat the Saints, and gotta hope New England lose against Tennessee. I can't see it, plus I don't think they're going to go down to New Orleans and win.
I think they will.
Let's answer that question, then we'll get to that in a bit. Browns and Raiders, I think, have gone. Although someone's put the Browns twice. It's meant to be Broncos. The Broncos are in 12.
Somebody. I wonder who that somebody is.
No idea. It must be in the left hand again. Yeah, we'll do it again. That's a bit better. So yeah, I mean, I think now Browns and Raiders are gone. I think Colts and Steelers are the ones that could possibly jump the Chargers, the Bills, and all the Bills. Personally, in the NFC, it is getting close. NFC, slightly more different.
I mean, I think that Niners
can't spell.
The Niners Vikings. The Niners Vikings game this week is massive.
Yeah, it is massive. So Niners are 8th, Vikings are 6th.
If the Niners beat the Vikings, then the Niners will go to 6th, and the Vikings will go to whatever, to 8, unless the Saints lose, which I think they will.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting this weekend. There's a lot of permutations that could happen. No one could still. Don't think anyone can win the division yet. Win their divisions.
No, not quite yet.
I think the best record is 8-2. There's a couple of 8-2s. Green Bay. I think Green Bay could actually.
No, Green Bay are 8-3 because they're lost, and the Vikings 5-5. There's still more games than The biggest, I think, differences are the Vikings and the Titans at the moment, 3 games.
Yeah. There's a couple of bit of news we actually missed before we go on to our players of the week and
No,
predictions.
it's just
Well-
nothing to do with dismissal, so we left
No, I was
it.
going about Tyson and Colton Sutton.
Yes,
Sutton.
that's first off. This one I think is a massive overpay. They're not going to start him a quarterback.
Yeah, but have you noticed a hybrid type of contract? So depending on the position he plays, it's depending what they pay him.
It's
So he's
still
only-
It's still 40 million though.
But it's only guaranteed 22. So that works out. So it's 4 years. It works out like 8 million a year, 7 million a year,
I
7.5
guess.
million a year. So it's not massive. But I get what you mean. If he's not a starting quarterback, should he be getting that kind of money? But if they use him wide receiver, tight end, running back, they even use him on blooming special teams. It's another one. But I do like this one though.
Yes, that is a good signing.
34.5 million guaranteed over 4 years, which works out to be about 9.5 million a year, 9 and a bit million a year. That is a very, very good signing.
Now, just before we go on to player of the week, I want to talk about my bankers.
Go on
Because
then.
I said if I didn't get to 10 correct, I'd do a forfeit,
And you did.
and I'm 10-1.
Well done.
So now I'm going to be a bit more risky.
Okay. We'll get to that in a minute then.
No,
Let's
can
go.
I just announce it now? Because I've
Go on
decided.
then.
Ollie, you're going to be happy about this. I've got the Patriots to beat the Titans.
Hey, it's going to happen.
So on to players of the week. Mr. Della
would-
Henderson, do you want to go yours first?
I was just going to flash up this one very quickly because he's
Oh,
not here, so
Tom's.
he's got nothing to talk about. Yeah, he's a superstar in the making. We all agreed he should have been Rookie of the Year last year instead of a player who was out for half the season. Yeah, 2
One game.
touchdowns, 169 yards, 8 receptions. Yeah, brilliant. Mine is just to flip the other side of the coin. I'm not doing this wind up, Tom. I promise. Although Tom,
That's not what you messaged me.
no, I mean, I could have gone for Eckler, who was 4 touchdowns again, was superb. But Aaron Rodgers looks. Aaron Rodgers of old, it just looks like he was last year. Just effortless. Just shows that first game was a fluke. 385 yards, 4 touchdowns. He rushed 21 yards as well. So he's just looking a bit like Tom Brady. Like, just can play until they're 45, 50 if they wanted to. It's effortless.
Yes.
Absolutely effortless.
Mine
to
was
yours.
Jonathan Taylor. I mean, as we said during the game, 185 yards, 4 touchdowns, rushing and 3 receptions, 19 yards, 1 touchdown. I mean, if anybody played him in fantasy football, heaven help your team.
51 points he scored.
Yes, I mean, if you guys comment who your player of the week was, as I said, for me it was almost Eckler and almost Chris Jones, but I had to give it to Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah, I looked at Chris Jones as well.
If these two weren't.
No,
No.
I mean, you said it straight away. I mean, I mean, Tom is very, as we know, Tom is very anti Aaron Rodgers. Me, I personally don't like him as a person. Respect him very much as a player. I think he's a very, very good player.
Me and John seem to agree a lot.
Yes. John has a lot of common sense, apart from being a Raiders fan. Taylor is superb. There was some very good performances this week, to be fair, and there was also some very, very often ones. On to predictions. I was going to hopefully scroll across the bottom, but I'll do it that way.
I can make them scroll across the bottom if you want.
Nah, that's fine. We'll keep them as it is. It's not a problem. So we'll read them down as we go along.
Of course, John and Jack and anybody else that wants to get involved, feel free to chuck yours in the comments.
Drop the comments in, people. Drop your comments in.
Everybody, me, Tom, Ollie, Jack, and John all got 1 this week.
All differently. So I was the only one who got Washington, right? To be fair, most of you went for KC. I didn't, and nor did Jack.
Jack got the Eagles, I believe.
Jack got the Eagles, right? He did. And John got... What did John get right?
John got
KC.
KC.
Yeah.
And John's come in with his predictions.
Bears, Raiders. You think the Raiders are going to win?
Well, I mean,
Cowboys.
classic Raiders
Okay.
fan, isn't it?
Yeah, we'll get the off them. So Tom's gone for Bears, Cowboys, Bills, Rams, Titans as his player. Do you want to give me yours, Mr. Hope?
Bears,
Yep.
Cowboys,
Yep.
Bills, Patriots, Rams.
So I'm going for Bears and Cowboys, New Orleans, Green Bay, and I'm going for Patriots as well.
Underdog.
John, are you in the Predictor League on Facebook? That's what I would love to know. If you're in the Predictor League on Facebook, that'd be brilliant. Yeah, you've got to throw in a few rogue results, haven't you, every now and then? I think Raiders would be one. There's still so many games. I mean, obviously Jenkins have been out for Green Bay now. He's out for the season with an ACL, isn't he, as well? So
Jenkins plays for the Saints, doesn't he?
No, the O-line.
Oh, I thought you meant the safety.
No, the O-line for Green Bay he's out. He's one of the starters. I think he's starting left tackle or starting left guard. Top of my head.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
I'll have a good news very quickly. But yeah, so he's out. So there's one of Rodgers' safety net. I just think.
And they still don't have
back.
Bakhtiari's still not back, is he either?
No, I think that. Yes, we know. Sean McVay likes inventing some fourth down plays, but I just think Green Bay is too strong for them.
I think Odell and Von will have be integrated into the team more, and the Rams will be back to their winning ways.
Yeah, I mean, Tennessee and New England is a difficult one. It should be New England on the way things are going at the moment.
Well, I mean, it should be Tennessee, in my opinion, if on the way things are going.
Tennessee haven't beaten a non-playoff team from last year this season.
Really?
Really, yeah. They've won 7 games. The 7 games they've won have all been against playoff teams from last season.
Wow.
Yeah, love that stat. Mr. Hope, this is the last one I'm going to see you for a couple of weeks, isn't it? Well, about 10 days, isn't it? Something like that.
Well, I'll chuck you guys a video to put in for Monday.
A couple of game day videos would be really good.
Oh, don't worry, don't worry. I'll get Kirk on his ass a couple of times.
You're gonna go and do some pitch invasion, are you? Just talk with Kirk Cousins. It's his son, Joey.
Well,
Nick, even one.
Nick's got 10 sacks this year, so I trust him to get a couple more.
Yeah, Miles Garrett's leading the way with 13, is he? And TJ and Matt Judon are both at 10.5. And Nick Bosa is on 10, isn't he?
What did I put in the chat the other day?
Tell me about ACL.
No, it wasn't about ACL. It was. Is this it? Nick Bosa is the only person this season. I'm scrolling the wrong way.
Yeah, go down, not up. No, up, not down. Something like that.
He's the only person with 10 sacks and 15 tackles for losses.
He is going to be in the conversation for Defensive Player of the Year, isn't he?
Yeah, but he seems to be flying under the radar a bit this year, I think.
That's not a bad thing.
No, it's not necessarily a bad thing. I didn't realize he was on so many sacks.
No, obviously, Pro Bowl's open now as well.
Yes, Pro Bowl
open.
Yes, I've submitted mine.
I haven't. I normally do it after about week 14, 15, around that. I haven't.
I mean, let's face it. I just voted for. I'm only just voted for Niners players.
Why does that not surprise me? I think you'll definitely see Debo and Bosa there.
You just check 2 probably.
Well, special teams. Or
Well,
fullback.
fullback.
Yeah.
Fullback.
Mr. Hope, I hope you have a wonderful time in San Francisco.
Thank you.
Come back safe, and we'll see you all. Me and Tom will be back on Monday for Week 12 game reviews. We will see you all then, folks. Stay safe.